Hey, good afternoon to you. It is 5:06 here, News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we're making sense of the news. Coming up in the next hour, we've got, within this hour, actually, Mike Van Meter will be joining us, a Republican state Senate candidate in Virginia's 33rd district. Good old Mike, former FBI guy. We'll chat with him about everything going on in his race and in the world. You can join us at 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. Here's another encouragement for you. Get out and vote if you're in Virginia. Tomorrow's the final day of that early voting. Well, there is a certain member of Congress who is right now causing so much chaos for Democrats, and it is not a Republican. No, it's a Democrat. Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, that genocidal maniac who is currently serving in Congress, she just tweeted here in the last hour an attack on Joe Biden and saying that he is supporting Israel, therefore he is wrong. What is even going on? I'm going to play some of this for you. This is Rashida Tlaib, and it is a big, Michael Bay production in support of Hamas.
We stand with Israel.
So they show a picture of Biden saying, "We stand with Israel," and then subsequently a video that purports to be Israeli bombs striking Gaza. Of course, the whole point of Israel going after Gaza militarily is to go after Hamas. Images of people in Gaza. That's the allegation here. And then it takes you to the street protests where people are marching in support of Hamas and against Israel around the country. First on Michigan. Now California. Now Pennsylvania. Now Ohio. No peace on stolen land, the crowd screams. No peace on stolen land. Stolen land means Israel. Illinois. Free Palestine. The occupation's got to go. This is all in Illinois. The occupation, again, is Israel they're referring to.
Mr. President, the American people are not with you on this one.
New York. End the blockade, break the siege.
Innocent civilians are going to be hurt.
This is John Kirby that they're using now.
Going forward, I wish I could tell you something different. I wish that wasn't going to happen, but it is going to happen.
I want to thank President Biden for his unequivocal support.
Bibi Netanyahu. Michigan street protests now again in support of Hamas. From the river to the sea. Remember, Palestine will be free. That's how the chant goes. And that's the River Jordan to the Mediterranean. In other words, Israel will be erased.
We will remember in 2024.
And now the on-screen graphic says Joe Biden supported the genocide of the Palestinian people. Now, remember, what is this in the wake of? It's the October 7th terror attack on Israel, the beheading of children, the rape of women, the murder of Israelis, the kidnapping of Israelis and Americans. It says here, Joe Biden supported the genocide of the Palestinian people. The American people won't forget. Biden support a ceasefire now, she demands, or don't count on us in 2024. In case you're wondering why this week, of all weeks, the White House came out with a statement saying that they're trying to fight back against so-called Islamophobia, that this week is the week for an anti-Islamophobia task force. What an amazing moment that we're all living through. As people openly cheer on the eradication of a people in a country. And the Jewish people in Israel, and where you're watching the Democrat coalition absolutely collapse in upon itself. I mean, look, I'm happy that that's the outcome insofar as it will redound to the benefit of the rest of us. But this is crazy, isn't it? Rashida Tlaib. Now she's campaigning against Joe Biden. We're going after you in 2024. You will not be able to count on us for support, she says. Amazing. Just amazing. Now, speaking of Gaza, just while we're on the subject for a moment, there's been footage going around the internet of what appear to be women and children dead within Gaza. And the claim that the pro-Hamas crowd has been making is that Israel struck all these people on the street with missiles. But there's video footage. There is no evidence whatsoever of any sort of missile blast having struck any of the people who appear to be lying dead on the ground. Instead, we're seeing media sources claiming that it looks like it may have actually been Hamas killing people who were looking to flee the northern region of Gaza to escape the war. And if that's the case, that is horrific inhumanity. Just horrific inhumanity. Forcing people to be human shields, and if they don't, executing them. It's bloody business. It really is. And there's some very gruesome stuff going on there in that region of the world right now. By the way, Hamas is stealing all the fuel. You keep talking about all of this. You know, you hear from people like Rashida Tlaib, there's a blockade, you're cutting off resources and energy. All of the stuff that has been flowing into Gaza, stolen by Hamas. And what does Biden want to do right now? He wants to send another $9.5 billion of resources into Gaza. They say as humanitarian aid. It's all being stolen. NBC headline today, Hamas is hoarding vast amounts of fuel as Gaza hospitals run low, U.S. officials say. As UN officials say, hospitals in Gaza are running dangerously low on fuel. Hamas is maintaining a stockpile of more than 200,000 gallons of fuel for the rockets it fires into Israel and the generators that provide air and electricity to its network of underground tunnels. So all of this chatter about, like, why aren't you helping the people, the civilians, the people who are not openly engaged in war against Israel, openly conducting acts of terror? Because all of those resources, when they go in, they get stolen by Hamas, and they're used for the war machine. The statements, NBC says, come as President Joe Biden calls for a humanitarian pause in Gaza, and UN officials warn that aid agencies, water treatment plants, and bakeries there may soon run out of fuel. Israel, which has allowed a limited number of trucks carrying food, water, and medicine into the enclave, continues to ban deliveries of fuel, which it says Hamas will use for military purposes. Hamas, meanwhile, has repeatedly demanded fuel deliveries to Gaza during negotiations to allow foreign nationals to leave the enclave. That would be hostage exchanges. And in talks about the release of 240 people it kidnapped. So that's what's actually happening, in case you're consuming anything like the media that Rashida Tlaib consumes on this subject. We've got more Virginia news for you coming up, especially on the elections. On that front, I do have a phone call coming in from a woman who's running for the school board in Clark County, Virginia. Her name is Michelle Lane Smithwick, calling in from Berryville. Now, Michelle, thanks for calling in.
Hi, Vince. Thank you for having me on.
Now, Michelle, tell me about your candidacy. Is it true that your candidacy is a write-in candidacy, correct?
That is true. It is a write-in candidacy, and I'm running in the Buckmarsh district. And elections, early voting has been going on for 5 weeks now. Yes. And then Tuesday, of course, is the general election.
Okay, good. So tell me about in Clark County, what are the principal issues there as you run for this school board seat?
Well, I think one main issue that parents are very concerned about are the issues of parents' rights, because although Governor Youngkin has the executive order that states that parents need to be aware of what's going on in the school system, the school board on August 28th, the very first school board of the year, they unanimously approved a group called Connected Communities, which their specialty is supporting children to have gender transition surgery.
Crazy.
And it's really upsetting, particularly because so many of the elementary school students are 1 to 2 years below grade level. And we need to get the VOTEC options back in the high schools, but the IEP students who are below are 3 and 4 years below grade level. Parents are telling me that there are high school students who are girls
Yes.
are unable to use the bathrooms because boys are coming in and they come home with, their clothes messed up. If it's, for girls, it's an issue, where I'm going with this, I guess. And
I'm sorry. I hate to admit that I'm not precisely sure what you mean. Are these girls being assaulted in some way? Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, they're not being assaulted, but they just don't feel as though they have any privacy when they need, privacy for female issues.
Yes.
That they can't, boys are in the girls' bathroom.
It's crazy. This craziness is spreading everywhere, isn't it?
It truly, it's very sad, particularly because everybody thought that the Catoctin Ridge was going to be the stopgap for this liberal agenda being pushed into the schools, but it very quietly was brought in to Clark County schools.
Yeah.
And,
all right,
and parents' rights are the most important thing.
I totally agree.
The way they want.
Michelle, again, your name is that how your name needs to appear on the ballot? Michelle Lane Smithwick?
Yes, I believe that they will accept Michelle Smithwick, but preferably if they can write Michelle Lane Smithwick. I am a writing candidate. I've been knocking on doors and talking with parents and getting their feedback. And yes, it's an important race. If I can win, there will be will, I think, be able to maintain the school system so that parents feel comfortable.
That's a big deal. All right, Michelle Smithwick, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate the call in today.
Thank you, Vince, for having me.
Of course. That's Michelle Smithwick. She just called in. She's running in Clark County for school board there. She's running a write-in candidacy if you'd like to write her in. Again, it's Michelle Smithwick, or Michelle Lane Smithwick to be more specific. Okay. Let me get to, I'll tell you what, we'll do traffic first, and then we're going to get back to the wild Democrats all across the Commonwealth of Virginia. I've got a big list of all the scandals they're involved in. Hey there, good afternoon to you. Happy Friday evening. It's 5:35 now. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we're making sense of the news. So you can join us today at 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. A friendly reminder, I've been telling you about the election, of course, in Virginia. Early voting through Saturday, Election Day next week. Get your vote in. Additionally, if you enjoy the Vince Coglianese Show, this humble program, you can get it via podcast. Please do that. We have all the hours, all the interviews available. If you hear anything that piques your interest, you want to listen to it again, it's all available in podcast form. We really appreciate it. And if you listen within the next 24 hours to any given show, it helps our ratings. Did you know that? You have to listen within a day of it actually broadcasting, and a little bump to the ratings. So that's a nice thing. That's a really nice thing for us. It keeps me employed, that's for sure. Okay, let's talk to another guy who's hoping to get a great job. Joining us now is Mike Van Meter. He is running for state senate in the 33rd district of the Commonwealth of Virginia against the Democrat there, Jennifer Carroll Foy. Mike, good to have you back with us, sir.
Hey, Vince. Good to talk with you again.
Give me a state of the race, would you? How are things going for you in this campaign?
Well, hey, first of all, I want to address that list of wrongdoings on the Democrat side that you had. That is absolutely horrendous. And by the way, that's just the short list. There is a lot more out there, and folks, we have a really good slate of Republican candidates, and the Democrats are just awful. And listen, we have to get out and vote and stop this nonsense. But to answer your question, it's really hard to tell because I've not seen any polling data out there. I think it's maybe slightly edging towards, at least in my district, edging towards the Democrats. But as you know, we have 45 days of voting, so it just goes on. And I'm hoping that the Democrats are just going to wear themselves out with the early voting, and then we're going to come out on election day and show them up, because this has to end. Look, have we had enough yet, Vince? Have we had enough of the nonsense?
Well,
we've got to get rid of these folks.
I mean, and Mike, look, we're talking to Mike Van Meter. He's in the 33rd district. That district is split between Prince William and Fairfax counties. Normally, most observers would say, hey, look, this is going to be a very Democrat place. Now, if you come even within spitting distance on Tuesday, that's a really good sign, quite honestly, for the sentiment across the state and, you know, what it means for Republicans to be able to take control of both the House of Delegates and the Senate. You know, in your case, if you're speaking to the, again, predominantly Democrat voters in your area, what are you saying to get them to wander away from Jennifer Carroll Foy in your direction?
Well, this lady was at the forefront of the defund the police, BLM. All the police are racist. The entire criminal justice system is racist. And every time I think she's going to back away from that, she does it again. I was at a forum a couple of weeks ago, and she brought it up once again. And when I talked to the black voter, predominantly black voters, I asked them, tell me about crime. Oh, it's gone up. It's gone up, you know, particularly violent crime. It's gone up over 100%. Okay, well, who is the cause of that? Well, the Democrats were. Okay, then can I please ask you to stop voting for the people that gave you the problem? You don't go ask the people that gave you the problem to give you the solution.
Yeah.
How about fentanyl? It's, you know, that's the number one killer of people between the ages of 18 and 39. How about this transgender nonsense and not notifying parents? You know, I think you heard this story about the overdoses in Loudoun County where the parents weren't even notified about it. But guys, who do you think is bringing this to you? Stop voting Democrat. And Vince, we can do this. And this is my plea. This is my plea to everyone in your audience that is a Republican or is tired of this nonsense. You do understand, if you vote, we win. If you vote on November 8th, the day after the election, do not come to any one of these candidates that have sacrificed themselves for the last year and a half to serve you. Do not come to us and complain if you have these people in office and you're very unhappy, because we have a good slate. It can be done, but we are pleading with you to get out and vote.
It would be such a big deal. What do voters say to you when you say when you have that conversation? When you're like, hey, you know, are things worse now? Yeah, they are. Who do you keep voting for? Well, Democrats. Well, are you going to stop voting for Democrats now or what? What do they say to you?
Well, the problem that we're having is, even though this is a state election, as you know, actually the highest office on the ballot is the office I'm running for. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, the national politics are playing into this. And people are always asking us, you know, about, you know, who won the 2020 election? What do you think of it? What do you think of Trump? What do you think of Biden? And it keeps creeping in. And the people that are refusing to vote Republican, unfortunately, have made their decision based on the presidential ballot, which is not on. These people are not on the ballot. This is a state election, and people are just not going to budge off of that.
Right.
And that's why, you know what, Vince, we're at the point right now, a few days out, this idea that we're going to convert hard Democrats over to vote Republican is not going to happen. That's why my plea is to every single person that is a Republican or a conservative or somebody that cares about their community. And I'll tell you this, if you guys don't know about my opponent, Jennifer Foy, you check her out. If you are a first responder, or if you are military, or if you're an attorney, if you are somebody that works in that system, under no circumstances should you be voting for that woman. She absolutely contributed to this crime problem, and she refuses to debate me. She will not debate me. In fact, she will not even go into forums with me, because she knows that she cannot defend herself. And interestingly enough, she has about $1.7 million to spend, and she has not spent any of it on me. She's not out putting out signs. She's not done ads. She's not doing anything, because she knows she has to fly under the radar in this, because there's not one issue she can debate me on and come out on top. Not one.
Yeah. There's just kind of a combo thing going on there, a sense of entitlement to the seat and not wanting to elevate a guy who's got a very legitimate claim against her in this race.
Yeah. And by the way, Vince, she has no intention of doing 4 years in this seat. She's collecting that money so she can either run for the U.S. Senate or for governor next year. She's not going to stay in the seat. And next year, if she gets in, you'll just be doing this all over again.
Well, if she runs for governor, this will only be the latest attempt for her to run for governor of the state.
That's right.
She's done that before. Hey, you also speak from experience on this subject. You and I have talked separately from your candidacy about your time in the FBI, but you're also a former police officer too, right, Mike?
Yeah, I was a Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police Department police officer, and I was also a Navy pilot. And also, just so your listeners know, after I retired from the FBI, I went back to school and became a therapist, and I'm a drug and alcohol counselor in a major hospital. So I had a front row seat to the whole fentanyl, not just fentanyl, I mean addiction in general, but fentanyl. Folks, listen to me closely. If we do not get a handle on this fentanyl epidemic, it's going to destroy this nation, and it absolutely is a national security issue. We've got to get a handle on this. And the people, these Democrats have contributed to the problem, and they're woefully unqualified to deal with it. And that's my experience. I feel like this is the time. Yeah. I feel like my background has led to this time to be in office, Vince. I do.
Sure. And one of the things that is easy to detect in terms of how Democrats handle the fentanyl problem, which is a critical crisis as you're laying out, is the Loudoun County thing is a kind of a perfect and unfortunate example, which is they've got a problem on their hands. You've got students who are overdosing on this. They're taking drugs that are laced with this very deadly fentanyl. And by the grace of God, nobody's died in recent weeks, but it could happen very soon. And you don't want to see that happen. And what is the response by Democrats, by lefties? Their response is to cover it up, downplay it, not be forthcoming, not to reveal much information, because their position is like, hey, we're in charge and we don't want any blowback for this failure. So if we minimize it, then maybe nobody will blame us. That's the exact wrong person you want in charge in a time of crisis.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the wrong thing that you want. And everything that you just said is spot on. They downplay it. Vince, if you spent one day with me in the detox unit that I work in, you would be screaming from the rooftops to do something about this. And, you know, we went through 2 years, COVID. And I'm not downplaying. We had deaths, don't get me wrong, and it was a very bad thing. But COVID was not even close to being the number one killer. And fentanyl is out of control. And by the way, the numbers go up every month. They never go down. There's not 1 month where they go down. And they know that defunding the police, demoralizing the police, not helping out, and not educating the public, because that's one of the things I want to spend a lot of time doing in the Senate, is highlighting the danger of this and how we need to get out ahead of it. You know, Vince, it's time for leadership. And I know that sounds like such a political cliche, but it's not. It is. Yeah. We need adults in the room. You know, the world events, you know, I know this is outside of the state of Virginia, but just look at the world stage. It's a scary time, and it's a scary time in the United States. And, you know, they've had 2 years of playing around with us. It's time to get rid of these people, because really, really bad things have happened, and they're going to continue to happen. And we need sober people, no pun intended there, but sober people in office that are in this for the right reasons. And yes, we have a great slate of Republican candidates, top down, great slate. This is our opportunity. We only have a few days left. If you have not voted, you get yourself and you get everyone else that you know out to vote, because it's that critical.
It would make
such
a massive difference.
And on November 8th, don't regret it.
Yeah. We're talking to Mike Van Meter. He's a Republican state Senate candidate running in the 33rd district. Again, that's split between Prince William and Fairfax counties. As I mentioned at the outset, it's a pretty heavily Democrat area. But if we come along next week, Wednesday, and we find out, hey, Mike Van Meter won. Mike, first of all, that's going to be great. But secondly, what that will probably mean is a sizable Republican majority in the state Senate. Yep. Should that happen, you get a Republican majority in the state Senate. What do you think should be priority one there?
Priority one is we need to get rid of this. Get rid of this 45-day voting. This is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. But no, I think the first thing that we need to do is we need to get the governor has been trying to push through all kinds of legislation that's been lost in the Senate, and we need to do that. We need to get the bills through this the model the model policies that he's had for the schools, those need to be legislated. We need to get this reporting done with schools. And get rid of this whole idea that we are that we're not going to notify parents when they have these transgender issues in the schools, and we have to do that. Our children. Vince, here's where I come from, and all of the policies or all the legislation that I'm going to be pushing through is going to be tiered this way. The number one role of the government, any government, is the protection of the people. That's issue number one for any government on planet Earth, and that's going to include the Commonwealth of Virginia. That's going to be the first thing that we're going to do. And the second thing that we're going to do is make sure that parents are parents, and you're entitled to know what's going on with your children and the protection of your children. Because when you send children to school, you have a right to know that they are being protected against predators. You have a right to know whether or not they are suffering from mental health issues, because if somebody comes to you, your child comes to you, and they talk about wanting to mutilate their body to change their gender, there's some issues there that need to be addressed. And you as a parent are the person solely responsible for that. And the state and the school has no business getting between you and your child.
Sure.
Because if they do that, then what they're doing is they're not allowing you to provide whatever help you can to your child. And so those two things right there need to be the priority. Along with fentanyl, we will do everything that we can to battle this issue. And that's going to start with building up our police, funding our police, training our police, and recruiting the best and the brightest. And one of my goals is to make our first responders in Virginia the best in the nation. And we can do that, and we're going to do that.
Yeah, that'd be a big deal. Well, you hear it in his voice. Mike Van Meter, he's really the law and order candidate running in the 33rd district for the state Senate in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Mike, best of luck to you. Always so nice talking to you. Big election coming up, and may everyone get out there and vote for Mike Van Meter. Thank you, Mike. Really appreciate your time today, sir.
Hey, thanks, Ben. It's always good to talk with you.
That's, again, Mike Van Meter. Election runs through, Tuesday's election day, final day of early voting. Tomorrow, tell everybody you know. 5:49 now. Boy, oh boy. It sure is crazy out there. Headline today, Biden judicial nominee says he hasn't studied enough to condemn Hamas. It's the Washington Free Beacon reporting today. One of President Joe Biden's judicial picks says he doesn't know enough about the situation in Gaza to condemn Hamas terrorists. Edward Sunyal Keel brushed past questions about Hamas during a Senate hearing this week, saying only that it's a terrible situation over there, but he hasn't really studied it. Well, if you can't tell the difference between terror and, something that, I've got to see more evidence, then maybe you shouldn't be a judge. Maybe that's the wrong job for you. You're bad at judging. It's crazy. Biden keeps putting forward these insane judicial nominees, and the Republicans, to their great credit on the Judiciary Committee, just keep ripping these guys limb from limb. Like, you don't know anything. You don't even know the difference between a man and a woman. Why should you be a judge? Is Hamas bad? I'm not sure. The jury is still out on that question. It really is. All right, let's see here. Let's dash on over to the phones. Jason is calling in from Kensington, as he often does. Jason, good afternoon. You're on the Vince Coglianese Show.
G'day, Vince. I couldn't resist calling you again, mate, because I heard that thing about that lady in the snow earlier.
The Virginia candidate, a Democrat, who recorded herself peeing in the snow, and she said, "Yes, I'm peeing," and she told people to avoid the yellow snow.
Yeah, I've been caught out a few times in the bush, needing to go, but I can't say I've ever used it for a job interview. I tell you what, I don't know if you're game enough to do that. I don't think it'd be a good starting point or a good first impression that you're out.
No, it's not. It's not typically something you go out of your way to share with others. In fact, if you're ever out in the woods, typically with your group of people, you kind of go off to the side. You're like, hey, gotta go take a leak. Let me just get away from the group for a moment, give them some space, and I'll have some privacy. But no, Democrats who are running for office think it's an asset in Virginia to share when they're peeing on camera.
Yes, exactly, man. I tell you, that's about as low as you go.
Yeah, that's about as low as you can go. Take it from a guy who's been down under. Jason, thank you very much. Really appreciate the call as always. Hey, look, have a fantastic weekend, Jason, and all of us. Just have a great weekend with your family. Again, I can't say it enough. If you're in Virginia, just get out and vote. Lock that vote down this weekend. You can do it through Saturday. Of course, Election Day next Tuesday. We'll keep covering it all right here on WMAL. The great one, Mark Levin, up next. Don't miss a moment.